76 years ago this month, Huey P. Long was assassinated in the capital of Louisiana. The man who was widely believed to be his assassin, Dr. Carl Austin Weiss, was shot 61 times and died at the scene. While the focus of these events has always been who shot Huey Long, a lesser but equally important story involves the struggles of Dr. Weiss's then 27-year-old widow, Yvonne Pavie Weiss, and their 3-month-old son. Today, I hope to transport you back in time to the evening of the shooting, when Yvonne's family drove from Opelousas to Baton Rouge to care for, console, and due to the politically charged climate, come to her protection. There are 3 characters in this story: Yvonne's mother, Mama, her oldest brother, Vizé, and her youngest sister, Ida. This fictionalized account is told through the eyes of 13-year-old Ida. The title of this piece is Mama, who was indeed a good old girl in her own right. Go the speed limit. Do not draw attention to yourself in any way. The cargo you are carrying is precious, you understand? Papa's head was low. Emotion carried his voice much further than he intended. Uncle Albert and Uncle Octave stood with Papa, peppering Vizé with similar warnings. There are Huey Long people in every parish, Uncle Octave said. Don't think for a second they aren't looking for a reason to take a Pavie down, Uncle Octave added. Mama took my chin in her hand. Turning my face from the men, she stroked my face with the side of her index finger and brushed the bangs across my forehead. Her dark eyes were serious. Listen, my child. Some men handle things with violence. That's not our way, and that wasn't Carl's way. Killing is a selfish act, and Carl was not selfish. In Baton Rouge, you will hear a lot of talk and speculation about what happened tonight. You will listen with your heart, Ida, your innocent and loving heart. She looked at Vizé, who was holding the car door open for Mama. Her eyes were clear, her voice sharp. We shall all listen with our hearts, she said. She sat down and let Vizé close her door. When he slid into the driver's seat, she continued, Vengeance will not win the war that's been waged this evening. Love and forgiveness will, she said. They will know we are Christians by love. I can't tell you the times I heard Mama say they'll know we are Christians by love. Sometimes she even sang it. I remember just the year before when Sister Mary Frances unapologetically told my history class, all politicians are crooked and none are to be trusted. There she stood at the head of the room in her heavy black broadcloth habit, teaching us about the workings of government. I took notes from my position in the front of the class. When those words spilled from her mouth, I felt a familiar pain in my chest, like someone stabbing their finger into a tender bruise. I raised my hand almost immediately to counter the injustice of her comment. I remember the stale classroom air hanging between us as Sister raised her eyebrows and nodded in my direction. Not all politicians are crooked, Sister Mary Frances, I said, trying to mask my displeasure with respect. It didn't work. Ida, Mama had scolded when I got home that afternoon. You simply cannot argue with the nuns, child. It doesn't matter if you're hurt by what they say. They're your elders, the religious, for goodness sake. What were you thinking? Papa was furious when Sister Mary Frances called the courthouse to report your disrepute. You better go on to your room and wait for him to get home. Mama, I said in calm protest as my eyes began to fill. She insulted Papa. Vida, if you want Sister Mary Frances to think highly of this family, darling, the best way to do that is to behave respectfully. I knew what was coming next, and I said the words right along with her. They'll know we are Christians by love. Mama smiled and nodded her head. Now go on to your room, child. I could hear her humming the hymn as I walked down the entrance hall to my room. That seemed like 100 years before. In the darkness of our Buick, I rubbed my hand across the smooth fabric of the seat cushion and looked out the window at the live oak saplings Governor Long arranged to have planted along his newly paved U.S. Highway 90. The smooth pavement was a quiet contrast to the loud, loose gravel roads we were used to. I remember hearing Papa's voice in my head, but at what cost? At what cost used to mean something entirely different. It used to mean at what cost to democracy. Here's progress. Cost the citizens of Louisiana plenty in the way of new taxes. Just last month, it cost my Uncle Paul his job as a high school principal, and it cost my sister Marie her teaching job too. But now tonight, the answer to that same old question somehow included the cost of something new. It cost my sister her husband, the child his father. Yes, tonight we paid with Carl. Mama hadn't spoken since we left the house. Reaching down on the floorboard, she grabbed her bag and began to rummage through it, pushing its contents this way and that. When she found what she was looking for, I heard the familiar soft rattle of the rosary beads being pulled from their resting place. Without saying a word, she handed a rosary to me and one to Vizé. In unison, we raised our right hands and crossed ourselves and began to pray. Au nom du Père, et du Fils, et du Saint-Esprit. Our Catholic cadence sliced the silence in the car and pulled the three of us together in prayer. Somewhere between Port Barry and the third sorrowful mystery, I saw a tear roll down Mama's cheek. It glistened in the dark and fell from her face. I couldn't recall a time when I saw Mama cry. Even when Grandma Vizé had died, Mama wept only in the privacy of her room, and even then she had turned on the bathroom faucet to conceal the sound of her broken heart. It's not proper to show such emotion in front of others, she had explained. As we came to the end of our prayer, Vizé and I handed our rosaries back to Mama. I want you two to pray for Senator Long now, she said. That he lives. She paused. There's no sense in having two men die for nothing. Yes, ma'am, I said. It made perfect sense to me to pray for Senator Long. If he died, people would call Carl a killer. Mama, I asked, why do you think Carl was at the Capitol tonight? I mean, why would he go there? I do not know, sweetheart, she answered me. Maybe he thought Uncle Octave would be there. Uncle Octave, I said, but he was with us in the country. Yes, darling, Mama sighed. I could tell I was testing her. But since Uncle Octave is a legislator and there was a special session called tonight, it would have been reasonable for Carl to presume Uncle Octave was at the Capitol. Ida, the truth is, I have no idea idea what drew Carl into that building tonight. I suspect there's a logical explanation for him being there and feel certain once a formal investigation is done, it'll all make sense. Maybe he went in to talk to Huey, Vizay offered. Everyone knew he was in town from Washington, D.C., that he was the one who called the session. What if Carl thought he could have a conversation with Huey about Papa? Vizay's answer sounded very reasonable to me. I looked at Mama waiting for her to respond. Could be, was all she said. The ferry we had boarded on the west side of the Mississippi River was docking in Baton Rouge. In the distance, I could see the new state capitol building, Huey's promise to the people of Louisiana. Built in just 14 months, the 34-story monolith stood on record as the tallest capitol building in the United States. Newspapers reported the building still wasn't big enough to house Huey's ego. Just the month before, Yvonne and I had walked the baby along the manicured grounds on our way to and from Carl's parents' house or to attend Mass at St. Joseph's. Vizay slowed to a stop. Roads are all blocked, he said. Will they recognize us, Mama? I asked. For the first time in my life, I didn't want anyone to know my last name. As the words left my mouth, I was ashamed of the thought and hoped neither Mama or Vizay would know what that really meant. Oh, da, Mama said. There isn't a thing to be frightened of, darling. She certainly had a way of settling me with her words. The soft R's, the falling G's were a balm. Vizay, go on and turn left here, sweetheart, and then turn again on to 6th Street. We should be there in a few minutes. I imagined she'd be soothing Yvonne that way momentarily. Vizay followed Mama's directions, and just as she had said, we were there within minutes. I don't know what time it was, but the dusty streets were settled now in their neighborhood. Vizay parked in front of Yvonne and Carl's 3-bedroom cottage. I stepped out of the car and looked past the tall banana trees listing and swaying in the summer heat. Vizay opened Mama's door and walked around to get our luggage from the trunk. The familiar sweet smell of honeysuckle vine brought my eyes up the front walk to the porch swing, reminded me of my time here before the school year began. In the front window of the house, I recognized the silhouette of Carl's father. As we approached, I heard the locks shimmy and twist, and my stomach seemed to join in their dance. Vizay lagged behind. Stopping on the front walk with his back to us, his head was moving unnaturally from side to side, like an overly cautious young boy looking both ways before crossing the street. He was stretching and yawning, acting as if he was tired from the drive. But I knew he was looking high and low for the men Papa assured him would be waiting for us in the shadows.